Get over here.
Should we wait for Kathy or should we get started?
Where did she go?
You want? Oh, we should.
She's slipping into the purple dress and red hat.
My name is Mark. I'm from Anime, Alberta.
Hey, Mark.
Out west of
Edmonton.
Canada. That's
From
wrong.
Edmonton. Someone from Edmonton.
Yes.
You spoke French very fluent.
Yes. Well, I actually went through French immersion there, so that's the only thing I got out of that. No, I grew up in Edmonton, so.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, Kathy's just doing another interview and then she's going to be right over it.
Okay, sure.
Well, and also the other thing I'm doing here at this Common Size Media, I'm actually I'm doing performing the improv.
Oh,
Pass you these buttons.
sure.
Ooh, baton.
Thank you.
Well, besides being
You can
media,
do improv, you can do
Merci.
Yeah.
Is that right?
De rien?
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah. Murky buckets.
Well,
That's the
that's
West
the way we say it next.
well, I'm also the assistant programming director, so.
Oh, cool.
Wait a minute, what is it? Sal?
Sal.
Hey, it's Salvatore, is it? Get out of Paisan, give me some of that. My dad's name is Salvatore.
All right.
You Italiano?
Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's my little sister over there, Shelby.
Buongiorno.
She's a pure Italian.
Just as a preamble question, have any of you acted in any improv stuff before?
Yes.
Any particular groups or anything?
Heard of Second City?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do it. But
Chicago ain't got nothing else.
The groundlings? No, me either.
Saturday Night Live? No.
No.
All right, well, why don't we get started and we'll write Kathy in when she gets here. All right, can you please just introduce yourself before we get started? Because I don't want to butcher anybody's names. I'm notorious for doing that.
You gotta get my name right. You know how to pronounce those Italian names, don't you? The GN sound? Mignona.
Mignona. Okay. Welcome to the Oracle of Enlightenment. This is the Observer, and we are continuing coverage of Anime North, and we're here with Vic Magnana.
That's right, Italiano. Mignona, yes. Si.
Pass it down.
Hello, I'm Hillary Haig, and that's Haig, not hog, nor hag. Haig!
I'm glad she said that.
And I'm Susan Aceron, not Aceron or Acheron or Acorn. With Aceron.
Cover that for you.
Now you know why we had them do it. Okay, so you guys mind if I ask the first question? Okay. So why don't you just start off by telling us about the latest projects you've been working on? Just put it in the middle.
Okay. Currently, I'm working on Full Metal Alchemist, playing the role of Edward Elric, and having the time of my life. It's a great show. I've been working for about 5 years in anime. I've done 45 shows, and Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, Dean Angel, but I'm currently working on one of my favorites of all. That's Edward Elric.
This is Hillary Haig. I just finished with the last volume of Chrono Crusade, playing Sister Rosette Christopher. That's one of my favorite roles thus far. I'm also working on, what am I working on right now? Area 88, Ease Otherwise. We just finished the second round of Full Metal Panic, and I hear there's a third coming. Some of the roles I worked on in the past were Bubblegum Crisis 2040, Princess Nine, Super Milk Jan, and a few others.
Bubblegum Crisis, yes.
Yes.
Well, according to their long list, I'm going to add in my little one right here. I'm actually on hiatus right now. I did Sailor Pluto in Sailor Moon. It was a small show that everyone might know of. But right now I'm currently writing and I'm doing that sort of thing and teaching. So that's not right now. But
teacher?
that's a little
You were
thing.
Sailor Pluto?
Yeah.
Oh,
Pluto!
that was amazing.
Yeah, that's all I'm here for.
Hey,
And that's all you need to be here for? Really? It's like Mark Hamill saying, I was Luke Skywalker. That's about all I've done.
This thing a few years ago.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, this thing I did a
Listen to the sci-fi thing.
This little indie film.
Can we start with that? My first question for you, Vic. I was during my research bit, I saw some wonderful pictures of you at a certain Star Wars convention.
Oh.
Dressed up as a certain character. Can you go into what else you do when you're not doing this?
Well, actually in Houston, Texas, I'm a full-time music composer, producer. I do a lot of writing, producing. I've produced probably 15 or 20 albums. I've written hundreds of jingles for television, radio, ad agencies, production companies. I've written music for documentaries, television, I do a lot of acting, stage as well as voice work, graphic design, and my degree is actually in film production, video and film production. So I love to dabble in little video and film projects. A friend of mine and I have a production company in Houston that we do a lot of documentary stuff. But I am an avid Star Wars fan, and I'd like to apologize right now for the last 2 films. But
2 and 3 or 1 and 2?
1 and 2. 3's not so bad.
I agree.
It's not. Okay, granted, it's not 4 or 5 or 6, but it's better than 1 and 2 was, and the story's good. There's some lame writing and some very lame acting, but it's a good show. It's a fun ride, you know. But ever since I was little, I was a big fan of Star Wars, and so when the movies started being made again, I'm like, ooh, let's dress up and collect lightsabers and have fun. So.
Yes, for Vic. You said here you worked with on the Dragon Ball Z series as Broly.
Yes.
Dragon Ball Z is usually a lot of the guys is one of the cheesiest animes ever created. So I was wondering if that's something you really enjoy, is doing some kind of like some cheesy work, but as well as serious stuff.
I would be enraged if that weren't such an accurate statement. No, actually, it's funny. Dragon Ball is a funny story because I was working with ADV in Houston. And then I went to a convention and met several people from Funimation in Dallas. Didn't even know they recorded anime in Dallas, but Funimation is the company behind Dragon Ball. And I got a call one day from a guy that I had just met at the convention the week before saying, "Hey Vic, this is Mike, McFarland. Can you do like some sort of a mean, dark, kind of an angry voice?" And I'm like, "What, on the phone?" He said, "Sure." And so I, "What do you want me to say?" And he's like, "Yeah, that'll be fine." And so the next week I went up there and played Broly, and I didn't even know what Dragon Ball was about. I had no idea about power-ups and yelling for 45 seconds. And it about killed me. And I was relieved to see that Broly died at the end of the movie. But of course, he came back. And again and again. But yeah, it is a cheesy show. But, it sure has grabbed a lot. It's grabbed a lot of kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's a boy show. It's a fighting show. And it certainly has done what we all appreciate, and that is grabbed people with an interest in anime, and it's been kind of an introductory show to get them into some of the deeper shows.
Mm-hmm. I've got an open question for the three of you, if anyone minds. My question is, now you're all established in anime production and work. How did you get your start? Was it luck, or were you actively seeking to try to get into anime, or? There's a lot of anime fans that say, "Hey, I love anime, but I'd also like to, produce it or help out in some fashion." What advice do you have for them?
Who wants to start?
Susan.
Did you talk first? No. What's your question again?
How did you get into
How
anime?
did I get into anime?
And what recommendations do you have? Somebody want to-
For me, it was really purely by, I think, accident, really. My agent had called me and said, they're doing the series of Sailor Moon, and I was in the Philippines at the time, so I said, "Oh no, I can't audition for it." And then 3 weeks later, she came, "Oh, they're still auditioning. We want you to audition for Sailor Pluto." And I've heard of the series, and I said, "Oh, okay." And basically, she just said, "Here's the tape. Watch it, and read the script." And I just followed exactly what I saw, and I was like, "Wow, Pluto, deadly screw!" I was like going crazy. And I was like, "Wow!" And then she just like, "Can you give me a oomph?" And I went, "Oh!" Just exactly. And it was just fun for me. It was just an accident, and from there, it's just like, wow. And that's all it is. It's fun for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no. I actually, after college, I moved to Los Angeles, and I had no acting experience whatsoever. And I was like, I'm gonna go be an actress. And it was a lot harder than I thought. But every agent I met with was like, "Wow, you have a really unique voice. You need to get into voiceovers. You need to, get into that arena." But nobody told me how or where to go or what to do. And I was like, LA sucks. I'm leaving. So I went back to Houston, and I'd been back in Houston probably about 5 months, and I was doing theater there. And I saw an ad in a paper in Houston that said, "Audition for cartoon voices." I was like, "Sure, that sounds great. I can do that." And so this is back when ADV was one studio with this dirty sofa. And I went in and auditioned. And I don't remember what the audition was, but the first show I did was Master of Mosquiton, and then the very second show I did was Bubblegum Crisis as Nene. So that's kind of how I got into it. And my advice for people who want to get into voiceover is, first, you have to live in the city that it's happening. And I know we say that a lot, so if if you're in Canada, you may want to move to Vancouver. You know, in the States, there are a lot of places, Texas, LA, New York. There's some stuff going on in the Carolinas. And then you also want to get into acting classes, because most people that do voiceovers are actors first. They're not just fans. Although in Houston, we have a lot of people who started out as fans and came on board and do a fantastic job, like Greg Ayers. But he had a theater background.
Oh, yeah, he's
as well.
got a good background in theater.
So.
I stumbled into it. I've been acting ever since I was very young. Any chance I got, you know, school, church, community, whatever. And I was in Houston doing some production work. I was actually directing a film, a video project. And the guy that was editing the project is a guy named John Grimion. And John and I became friends, and he said to me one day while we were editing this piece, he said, "You do some acting, don't you?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I love it." And he said, "I do this weird thing with this company in town. It's Japanimation, and you should go and audition." And so I did, and got cast in Street Fighter 2
Oh, I love that one.
as Vega, the
Yes.
one with the claw and
Yeah.
the mask.
Yeah.
And then got cast. Just kept getting more opportunities. What I want to say to people is it's really not a matter of I want to be an anime voice actor. And it's too specific. If you want to be an actor or a voice actor, you need to train. I mean, acting, like Hillary said, the key word in voice acting is acting. There are people that have those real rich, warm announcer voices, and clearly that's not what we do. We act characters in shows, and so the advice would be to get all the experience you can in acting. Take any opportunity you can and build those skills up. Because when that door opens, if it opens to audition, you got to be ready. You know, you have to have your skills up to speed to make the most of the opportunity.
Follow-up question for Susan, the Edmonton girl. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to pick on you a bit for this. My hometown, our hometown, is full of people who want to be voice actors. Now, we've just established that you kind of have to live where they do it, otherwise you're not going to be able to do it. Calgary is actually pretty close to that sort of thing. Anyways, for those who are eventually looking to hopefully move to Calgary, Vancouver, Toronto, LA, Texas, whatever, what do you think their foundations should contain?
Basically, a love for doing voices. Like if you have, for me, my background is musical theater, so I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to act. That was my main thing, and I also always had to read stories out loud in school all the time. They always said, "Okay, Susan, you're reading the story out loud. We'll put you on tape." And I always had to do that. But I always had to do voices for all these different characters. So I think I was basically training myself and just loving it. And as I got older, you know, in theater school, it was like we'd read these radio dramas, and I just would love those. I'd really get into those characters, and then, you know, it was natural for me, I think. I didn't really take classes. It was just like doing it over and over. And my advice is if you're in Edmonton, like, there's tons of theater there. There's tons of places. You could read to the blind. That's the best, you know? Those are things like, and then when you go to those things, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. I took a course here in Toronto it was Mike Kirby. He just put a tape for me. And we just did a demo tape. We did all these commercials just for fun. And then I submitted to a voiceover agent who was second in the town, the second biggest agency. And she loved it. And she said, "I've never heard your voice before. I'm going to take you." And I was like, oh, I had no experience whatsoever. And my first audition was for CBC Radio, and it was for a lead for a miniseries. And I got it just like that, doing a Filipino accent. So I was like, I'm Filipino, but you know.
Now, how do you do that again?
Yeah.
If you don't mind my asking, actually, I know people at CBC Radio. What was the play you did?
The Long Way Home, Daddy's Home. And there was a whole bunch of them. But that was the first one. It was a miniseries, and I was the lead. And when I first got it, I thought, wow, I'm going to be so rich. And then my agent told me how much it was. I was like, oh. Exactly.
What was it like being part of the Sailor Moon phenomenon?
Oh, you know what? I didn't know how. I'm just realizing it now, really, because when I was doing it at the time, we were in a small room and you did it by yourself. You weren't really doing it off the other actors. Sometimes you would hear what they did, but it was alone. But just the whole phenomenon was just like getting on a train and just following it. It's really, I still don't know. It's just really strange to me, but I think I'm just having lots of fun. So.
From a sociological standpoint, through your experiences in Japan, how do you perceive Japan actually viewing themselves to the world and how they perceive other cultures outside of Japan?
Wow.
I think it's Hillary's turn to answer.
Well, actually, from a sociological standpoint, I find it interesting. The Japanese culture is extremely interesting. There are so many facets to it, and I love their sense of humor. I mean, they've got a sick sense of humor, but it's great. And the more I learn about it, and like what these different little things mean, like when the tear pops up, or when the nose bleeds, or whatever it is, I'm like, no, you're kidding me, right? No, that's what it means. I think it's very interesting, and I haven't done, I guess, a whole lot of them that, I mean, to me, they're still kind of fantasy. So I don't know I don't know what it necessarily means in the Japanese culture, but I know like with the ghosts and stuff that, and the elders. I'm not doing a very good job here. Help me.
I think you're doing fine.
I think it's very interesting, and coming from what I do, I don't do a whole lot of research, and I don't know a whole lot about the culture. I'd like to learn more, but I think it's fantastic how it opens up that culture to, the Western world. People in America get so into it, and they do know what it means, and they embrace that culture, and I think it's fantastic.
They love their Mecca too, don't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's something I've always been fascinated with. Some of the stories in some of the, you're like, how do they come up with this stuff? I mean, it's like their creative minds don't even think in the same patterns that ours do. It's amazing to me. You see some really interesting turns and some of the weirdest combinations of things, and you'll think, how in the world?
And they
did
do so
even think of
many.
that? Yes.
For Hillary this time. Last time I interviewed you was 2 years ago in Seattle.
Yes,
And
I knew you looked familiar.
Yeah, you was then too. Okay, anyway. When I interviewed you 2 years ago, one of the questions I asked was what was your impression of the anime fandom? And this one branches out to all three of you, but now we're 2 years later, you've been to a bazillion more conventions, and quite frankly, you've seen more bits of conventions, all of you, than most of the people who come to this convention would. Have you seen the fandom progress? Do you think, besides just exploding, do you have any opinions on how it's changed in the past few years, or over your term coming to these conventions?
I'm not sure. Well, I think it's you that changes more than anything. Because the first couple of conventions I went to, I was like, I cannot believe these people are here to do this, and that they wanted to meet me, and they want to talk about what I do. That was just bizarre to me. And so it was a shock to see everybody dressed up in the amazing costumes. I think they're so talented and creative in the cosplay and the costumes that they come up with. I think that, I was telling somebody, actually here in Canada, I think the fans are more social than the ones in the States. Some of the ones in the States aren't as social, and don't just talk to you. They want to talk about the work more, and unfortunately I only know the work that I've been in, and so they ask me a lot of questions that I don't really know, but everybody here just kind of talks more about what's going on in Toronto. Does that answer?
Okay. Vic and Sue?
When I was little, I used to attend Star Trek conventions.
Yes.
Join the club.
When I would go to these cons and meet, Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner and Dr. McCoy, and
We're sorry about you meeting Shatner. But go ahead.
It's right. But it's such an interesting kind of a role reversal, because I would go to these things as a fan, and now I come to these, and people want to come and talk about work that I've done, and it's very humbling for me. I'm very grateful for the interest that people have had in the work that I've done, and what's really funny is that I had done so many shows up to Full Metal Alchemist, but none of them were anywhere near the size of that show. And so when I auditioned for it, I didn't know anything about it. Never heard of it. And after I got cast, I started looking on the internet, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is big. This is really a big show. And I was all excited. And so that's one thing that's really changed for me over just in getting that role. Every once in a while somebody will come up and say, oh, I love Generator Gall, or I love Princess Nine, or I loved Saint Seiya, or some of these shows that you don't really hear a lot of fans coming up and saying things about. There's somebody here dressed in the con, dressed as Gall, as a generator.
Yeah.
incredible costume. And those are really neat. But overall, the interest has really expanded since when you get roles like Sailor Pluto or stuff like that.
Well, just following up on the FMA. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Hey!
Hi.
Hey! Following up on the FMA thing, it's big now. I've left the past 3 cons I've been at, you can see a sea of people dressed in blue coats, which ironically is really weird for a desert-based series. So, anyways, how flattering do you guys find this? Like, this is an open question for you three. You go to this convention and people are falling all over you guys. How flattering is this to you guys?
Well, this is my first one.
Oh.
So my thing for me is that this is all very new to me. Roland Perlman had actually invited me a couple of years back, and why don't you come? Because the whole gang's going, and at the time I was doing other things, so I was doing some film and TV, and then just into my other things. And I thought, oh, it's so cool, but I didn't know the whole thing. He's like, come on, it'll make you feel good about it. Because I was going through a time, I don't really feel like a voice actor because I've always been focused on film and TV. So this is where I want to go. And coming here for the first time, I think it's just bizarre. I think I'm very grateful, very, very grateful to be where I'm at and to be just with these people.
And that's you.
Kathy was my very first teacher in animation in Vancouver years back. And then I just meet her today. So this is
a joy.
Right, this weekend.
This is great to see.
So it's just like, wow, it's just like, wait, where am I? So for me, I'm just like the first, I've heard of these conventions, I've seen them, I've seen them on the internet, I see the chats, and just seeing it's just like very grateful to be with this elite group of professionals. That's all I have to say.
So I see knowing nods from the two of you.
Yeah. Well,
Kathy, could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Kathy Westluck, and I'm a voiceover performer in Vancouver, though I was born and bred in Toronto, my hometown. I came from production. I used to work at the CBC, and came from Toronto, moved out here in Vancouver in '86, and worked on a radio show. And then got into voiceover through the host of the show, which was Jürgen Goth, and he said, you should really try this out. So I tried it out, and it sort of took off for me, and including, I've done some casting and directing as well, and continue to do some of that on a freelance basis, but I just love the performance. So it's been a lot of fun.
I see. Kathy, I see that you worked on so many things. I'm amazed.
I won't call myself the grandma, but we're fighting that.
But I just wanted to ask you about some things that were my favorite, like Reboot or the Roswell Conspiracies or Stargate. What was it like working on those?
Fantastic, and I think the neat thing about it was, the style saved from, Roswell Conspiracies into Reboot even, the acting is really very real. It's very television kind of acting, and in cartoon voicing, you can go from the very, very real category to just way off the map. And so that was fun to have that challenge. Roswell was very real, and the thing about Reboot was that I was actually doing a boy voice, which is really common for women now.
Which character?
It was Backup.
Okay.
Who's like, whoa, like that. He goes, cool, you guys, it's cool, it's so cool. And the lead character's going, okay, relax. But like, no, I can do that. So it's fun.
And you worked on Transformers, and was it Stargate the cartoon?
No, it was actually on camera acting for Stargate.
Oh.
Yeah.
What role was that?
Oh, it was just a bit part, pretty much. I was one of the talking aliens. Yeah, and it was quite some time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've done Just Cause and Cold Squad and things like that. But mostly voiceover is my first love.
They did the voiceover for Stargate Infinity in Canada, didn't they?
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know.
Because this guy from Highlander was in it.
Yeah. And Mega Man was a great one, too.
Yeah.
That must have been fun.
That was a lot of fun, yeah, Kid Grave. I do a lot of boy voices. And
very well, in my
oh, thank you.
And that one you just did was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you had one in Gundam Wing, too.
In Gundam Wing, I gotta get them straight. Gundam Wing was Dorothy Catalonia. She was the evil woman, basically. Very, very subtle. Yeah, and a few other characters in that show, too, like a couple of incidental roles. And Mobile Suit Gundam. I played Mirai the captain, and 3 different children. Young children. Too young to be watching the show. So
having one person do all those voices is kind of good housekeeping, right? Make sure you get the
Absolutely.
work and they don't have to hire too many people.
absolutely. Yeah.
What about Cyber 6? That was an interesting series.
Oh, it was on many levels, wasn't it? People are still trying to sort it out, but I mean, it really left an impact, and we really had hoped that it would have gone further. It was to me, an absolute 150% quality show, because it had the morals, but also the quality of production was terrific, and so were the crew. So we had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that maybe I should add this right now is that Cyber 6 had an effect on an autistic child who couldn't speak at all. And I got a call from a producer who, the family wanted to speak to me, and she had suddenly watched the series and was able to literally recite every line clearly, suddenly, that Cyber 6 said, and they don't know how that happened.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's strange.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit more about this whole Cyber 6 thing? I've talked to Mike Dobson about his role.
Lucas, my love. My love. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I was about to ask you to say something like that, but okay. You skipped over your role. Anyways, the whole concept of Cyber 6 is really weird, and the fact that it was, I believe, what was it? It was made in Japan, financed in Canada for people in South America, and that's very Canadian if you think about it.
Yes.
Anyways, the international appeal of Cyber 6 has floored a lot of people. Do you have any comments on that?
Has what a lot of people, I'm sorry?
Has really affected a lot of people, like you said.
Yes, it has. I think what was great about the show is that it's so multicultural in a way. It's Canadian content. The originators and the animators are Japanese. The actual setting of the show looks like it's in Europe. And the music is kind of a blend of European and sort of North American. So it sort of brought in every single aspect to the show. And the coloring was phenomenal, and the camera angles. And so it appealed to a lot of people. I think that was the point of that. And the morals.
There's 3 minutes left.
Okay.
What were your experiences on a Milk Chan like?
Oh my gosh. I don't know how to answer that. No, Milk Chan, we had so much fun making it, and I don't know if everybody knows there are 2 versions. They're both English versions, but there's an Americanized version where we put American pop culture references in and jokes, and that was just hilarious and so much fun to do. And we did a lot of behind the scenes type work where, what was going on with the actors at the same time as what was going on with Milk Chan, because the original Japanese version had live action, just like pictures in between the different scenarios in Milk Chan. And then we had to do a Japanese version also with the original Japanese jokes, and kept it all very, I wouldn't want to say boring, but it is a little boring. And unfortunately,
didn't want to say it, but
yeah, didn't want to. But unfortunately, that's the one that Cartoon Network selected to show, and so, slowly people are finding out that there's a second version of Milk Chan. If you ever get a chance to see the second version, it's great to see all the actors behind the scenes. We work with some really great comedians in Houston: Mike McRae, Rob Mungle, Tommy. What's Tommy's last name? Oh my God, he'd kill me. But Tommy's always on tour with somebody, so they're just fantastic, and they're hilarious, and the whole cast was hilarious. So it was a fantastic experience working on Milk Chan.
Which voice did you do on there?
I was Milk. I was the 5-year-old slobbering superhero that bungled everything she tried to do. She's always supposed to save the world, and yet it always blew up anyway. So it was a lot of fun.
Kathy, what were you on X-Men and Transformers?
I have to confess, it was probably an incidental character, and it was so long ago, I don't even recall. I mean, I don't mean to say that in a way, but we do so many incidentals as well as, the regular stuff, so I honestly don't recall it.
There's Crypto, Inuyasha, Dragon Tail. I mean, this is amazing.
I've been doing this since '88. So, I mean, I think the first one I started with was Kissy Fur, which didn't even go, I think, the way we wanted to go to series. And then, I played guesting, like, on He-Man. I played an episode of Teela. And then, in Conan, I was Savoka. So a lot of guest things, and, it kind of built from there. So, it's just, there's a lot of stuff.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's a good workout.
Experiences for what she did in X-Men and Transformers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Transformers, she was a boy at a carnival, and in X-Men, she was Dr. Eaton.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's
Dr.
right.
Eaton, good one.
Absolutely,
Good
yeah.
one. Okay. Oh, that's wild.
Did I have a question?
Okay.
This is a question for anyone who wants to answer it. How do you feel about the localization of anime for North American culture?
All for it. Sanitizing.
All for it.
I think it opens it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we attended this morning the presentation for Carl Masek, and we've worked with Carl a lot in Houston. I've done several shows for him, and it doesn't matter how great an anime is if nobody gets to see it. And so, you know, I certainly applaud people and companies and organizations that have a desire to broaden an audience for a show. A lot of us wouldn't be working otherwise. And so, I mean, I'm all for it. And, you know, the whole dub versus sub debate, you know, I hate to borrow from somebody as philosophical as Rodney King, but, you know, can't we just get along? You know, I mean, okay, you know, you like subs? God bless you, buddy. Watch your subs. But don't you know, crap on people just because they like dubs, and vice versa. You like dubs? Great. Don't make fun of people who want to watch the subs. Let people enjoy. But the beauty is to have the option, to be able to let a lot of different people experience all of the fun that are in all these shows.
Yeah, there's probably positives to both, right?
Absolutely.
And I think you know, trying to retain what the originator wanted to retain is important. Whichever way you do it, as long as you're retaining that,
Exactly.
then you know, let's make everybody happy. You know?
Anyone else want to comment on
I think Vic summed it up. It just opens it to a broader audience. So people can even go into Best Buy, hey, what's this? They pick it up, they, oh, this is cool. And it opens them up to anime when usually it would just be a select group that would be watching it.
Is there anything anyone wants to say about a project they're working on right now?
Depends if we can reveal them.
Yeah.
To us, you can.
Well, there's a series Rob Bakewell sort of revealed that a few of us are doing that are actually at the Anime Con, and it's called Hikaru no Go, and it's based on a mahjong game basically, and I think it's going to be big. So we've got several episodes. I play Yuki, another boy. Don't ask me why, but and I think Sam Vincent's in it as well, and I think one of the Dobsons, or maybe two. There's so many Dobsons. The Dobsons go on forever.
Yes.
I was casting and directing for the Dobsons, and I'm so happy to see them as a trio. They should start a rock band.
They might.
You think? I think.
Are you working on it?
Working on just a handful of things at ADV in Houston, and Mad Lax, Area 88, You Go the Negotiator, several shows there, and then just finished Fumofu, which was the next installment of Full Metal Panic, and still pressing on with Full Metal Alchemist. We recorded through episode 37. There are 51. This summer in Japan, the Full Metal Alchemist movie will be out, so we'll be getting, I expect we'll be dubbing that shortly after. And then I've also heard rumor that there are a couple of 30-minute OVAs after that. I heard something unprecedented happen with Full Metal, and that is they've started re-airing it in Japan. They don't do that. They show the series and then they're done with it. But apparently there's a huge following even in Japan, and so they've started re-airing the series again. Plus there's a little show that starts with an N, and I'm not going to even... I just found out where it's being recorded and who's recording it, and I've gotten some audition sides from them, and I'm hoping to get the chance to get out and do some work on that show.
Yeah. There's more to come. Just keep watching.
I'm working on a crazy show called Gilgamesh, which I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but it's going on in Houston right now, and my character just came about, and Steven's making it really an interesting thing for the actors because the whole studio is blacked out and candles, and you walk in and it's all spooky and weird, and you record in the dark. So he's really trying to set the mood. So look for Gilgamesh and the extras on that.
But can you see the lines?
It's scary.
Yes, they put a monitor up so you can see your lines, but everything else is blacked out. You see the screen and you see your lines, and he just gives you one line at a time.
It's freaky,
and
y'all.
It puts you in the mood.
Like dead trees
Yeah.
in the studio.
It is. No, they're mad because there are like bugs in the studio. There are bugs in the studio because they brought in all these dead trees.
I wish we got to that earlier. Do you guys do that often in Houston?
No.
So,
But Steven always does
That's
really
Stephen Foster.
fantastic extras, and he tries to make it interesting for the fans to see some behind the scenes stuff. And this one is definitely unique, and you have to wear black. If you go in to record, you have to wear all black. He'll call you the night before. Now, don't forget, if you show up with any color on, you're going to have to go home. No. So, but look for that one. That's going to be a good one. And I can't say who I am because it's all creepy and weird.
it's going to be one heck of a DVD extra.
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you very much, everyone.
Pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
I'm doing a fundraiser charity thing back home at the end of next month.
Do we use the ink?
Well, that's a fabric marker.
Oh,
I'm a self
Oh, yes.
Where are you from?
Gome's mom in a uni, and I play a couple of others.
Oh, okay. I'm a UVA graduate.
For sure, just remind me.
Okay, that's all right. You get them all. I get a break.
One of my
Big
best
brick high
friends
school.
ship out. I try to get her to come actually.
Well, festival place I used to work
We
at.
have enough room in the college.
I just love
Yeah.
it.
Jillian Michaels plays.
Oh, yeah. Don't do much. Fringes are.
Is what?
It's a theater part.
I know, that's great.
The fringes are theater.
about anime after right now.
It's
Everything
really
is.
such a-
I don't know.
It just started on fire. I was like, no, it's just the anime convention.
I know, but when you get a little buzz, you get a buzz. Oh, it's so nice and cool in here.
You can try. You can try.
Send Ben and see who he's bringing in next.
This is the fabric. So what else do you
These are
have?
fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yash is still recording. He's still going in.
No, you guys enjoy it. This is great.
I don't know how many episodes.
You know, it's funny. I was telling Mara that the fans here are so much more articulate. It's just a conversation.
Always gets to us
and
well.
tame.
Well, there's a whole process. I mean, you've got to really, you got to translation, capture the essence and
that's how she did it, didn't she?
We're doing a charity thing back in Edmonton.
There's like all station here.
Thank you very much.
She was an awful little demonish thing.
Anywhere.
Right in your solar plexus.
Well, I don't know, did you want the American one or did you have to use Shut up! The American version? There was. The one that's on TV is the toned down version. The one that you actually get on the TV is the wild.
That was great.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Actually, I think we're out because I think that was
Now we go
last
back, right?
time. 26. I'm gonna have to change the rules.